Come on, you guys are such obvious liars. So the fact that mainstream media has been broken and the establishment in a lot of ways not completely defeated, but at least took a huge blow, that's what's leading to the optimism.
Hello everybody, how are you doing today? We have Cenk Uygur here, and he has done an interview with The Hill, and he is giving the establishment Democrat Party what for, and so it is fun to watch. As we say here, we love to watch the left eat the left. It is one of our favorite meals. So why don't we all join in and watch as Cenk rips the establishment left in this fiery interview.
Cenk Uygur is the host of the Young Turks, a progressive news channel, and he's been a committed progressive leftist voice for years.
Except for when he started when he was a Republican. Remember that.
He has long been frustrated with the direction of the Democratic Party, particularly under President Joe Biden. Cenk even decided to run against Biden, seeking the Democratic Party's nomination in 2024 as a protest candidate against the Democratic establishment.
That's called a publicity stunt.
Now, you might expect Cenk, a leftist, to be demoralized by Trump's massive victory over the Democratic Party, but that's not exactly the case. He recently wrote on X, "I've been trying to figure out why I'm more optimistic now than I was before the election, even though I was so against the guy who won. I know now, MAGA is not my mortal enemy, and neither is the extreme left. My mortal enemy is the establishment, and they have been defeated." He also wrote, "I've now met tons of former Democrats who felt pushed out of the party. You can get angry at them or say you're glad they left or you didn't want those kooks anyway, but you keep doing that enough times and you start losing the popular vote."
Hey guys, if you like this video and the other stuff that I do, please hit that subscribe button. It only takes a few seconds and it really helps me out. Thanks.
Cenk Uygur joins me now in studio. So glad to have you here, my friend.
Thanks, Robbie. Appreciate it.
So I found that tweet really interesting because I kind of feel the same way, and like, even though you and I are coming at this from very different political angles, like you, I was not a fan of a lot of what Trump had to say. I like some of the things he tried to do. I think he was thwarted by some even worse people in the Republican Party over the course of his first term. So I didn't expect to be excited when he won necessarily. I didn't vote for him. I've told our viewers that. But
I like Robbie. He's pretty good. He reminds me very much of a 2000s Republican. Trying just a little bit too hard to get along, if you know what I mean.
But when he won, and then when he started putting in interesting, different people for his cabinet, some of whom I disagree with, some of whom I won't like. I don't like Rubio that much. But it's interesting. And there's a possibility now for some change in our country, in our governance, that it's exciting, if nothing less. Maybe it's just exciting because it's something different to talk about for once. But I do feel a little bit more hopeful than I have in a long while. Can you flesh out why you're feeling that way?
Yeah, definitely. So, look, I get people's reaction to it. Glenn Greenwald today tweeted about how the DNC loyalists hated that tweet more than any tweet in history. Okay, and so if you're a DNC person, you're like, rah, rah, establishment. Oh, no, the establishment has been defeated. Oh, we're so sad.
Remember all this while he's ripping the Democrat establishment. He was one of the leading voices for the Democrat establishment not that much long ago, okay?
Right, I get it, but that's why we're feeling this optimism. And our audience, of course, left wing, etc., and a lot of people wrote in and say, yeah, that's how I felt, okay? And the reason isn't because we're excited about Trump. The reason isn't like, oh my God, we found Jesus and it's Trump. Right? No, what it is the establishment has been oppressing all of us for so long and gaslighting us in a way that is unbearable. And as I wrote at the end of that thread, although maybe a threat, I'd rather be in the populist woods than in an establishment prison, right? And the guardrails on TV, New York Times, Washington Post, Democratic Party are so narrow, and you cannot say anything that is outside of those guardrails. So.
And he's not saying this about the extreme left, okay? And let's put the extreme right in there. They have some narrow guardrails themselves. They're just a little bit more willing to talk, I find, personally, than the extreme left. But yeah, this is Cenk pivoting, okay? I'll go into it a little bit later. We'll listen a little bit more.
After being browbeaten for saying, hey, why don't you guys try to actually pass some damn laws, right? Why don't you try for paid family leave? Why don't you try for public option? Why'd you take the $15 minimum wage out? And constantly hearing, oh, you don't understand. Bow your head. Bow your head. You must listen to Democratic leadership. Democratic leadership. I remember back in the Obama days when I would criticize.
A lot of the stuff that he's preaching about and everything like that, he knows. I mean, he knows that you're never going to get national things like that passed. I mean, it's the hurdles are too high, and the resistance to it is way too hard for any kind of a national law or anything like that passed on the past couple things that he said.
From the left, and they would say, he's playing four-dimensional chess. You wouldn't understand. Well, all right, how did four-dimensional chess work out for you on Hillary Clinton?
Yeah.
On Joe Biden,
the
barely
drone
winning,
strikes
by the
were
way.
part of a bigger plan, don't you see?
Oh, yeah, of course. How did it work out in Kamala Harris? How did it work out with senile Joe Biden? As everyone on television lied through their teeth.
Yes.
Oh, he's young and dynamic. You should see him behind the scenes. Really? He was holding back how dynamic he is behind the scenes? But on camera, he'd come out and be like, hold on, I'm going to fake it. Oh, guys, we got a defeated Medicare. Come on, you guys are such obvious liars. So the fact that mainstream media has been broken and the establishment in a lot of ways not completely defeated, but at least took a huge blow, that's what's leading to the optimism.
And when Joe Biden...
Honestly, it infuriates me because this man, back in the 2008, all the Obama years, okay, was such a sycophant for Obama. I mean, he was one of the leading voices calling anybody who criticized Obama in the least a racist. That it just boggles the mind that now, in this little fiery bit of invective that he's going on, is that, you know, that all of a sudden he's calling out Obama and Hillary and everything. It's just amazing. But again, this is just all part and parcel of the hypocrisy that, or the living orb of hypocrisy that Cenk Uygur is.
Biden got swapped out by the establishment, by the leaders of the Democratic Party, by the moneyed, the financiers, the media itself. When they wanted this done, then he got switched, and Joe Biden was dead in the water. Kamala improved on his odds a little bit, although it didn't come close enough. But the campaign she ran, in my view, was exactly the campaign the establishment would have wanted to have to a T. It was exactly along their terms. It was the same people. No wonder she could not, now that we heard on that Pod Save America episode what they were doing, advising on her campaign, we now know it was the exact same people responsible for Joe Biden. So of course she couldn't say, or was never prompted to say, here's what Joe Biden did wrong and here's what I would do differently. In an election where the people could not have said more clearly that we want change, she refused to say what she would change, what she would do differently, because it was the exact same establishment. They had more power over her, frankly, in my view, than they had over Joe Biden, who was, kind of an old, cantankerous guy and was always going to say and do whatever he wanted.
Kamala Harris was always a tool of the establishment. She had been basically maneuvered into that position because she would push and do her best to try to pass most of what Obama felt that he could not do within his 2 terms.
She was going to do exactly what they advised and did, and she lost horribly.
Yeah, I'll go further. Look, so all these years they've told us, oh, trust the guy behind the green curtain.
Yes.
There's the wise men, and you people wouldn't know, please.
Oz the Great and Powerful.
Exactly. So they told us that on Hillary Clinton, and she lost. And they said it's an aberration. It's an aberration. Oh, he got lucky, whatever, right?
Hillary Clinton ran an awful campaign, okay? A, that was one. B, she was an awful candidate, okay? You please, for God's sake, just admit that Hillary Clinton was an awful candidate, because neither she nor Kamala Harris, okay, who have been more or less placed into their positions because of their beliefs and the fact that they do have, what some might call woke armor, because of their sexes and or races. It's oh my God.
Russians, etc. Then when Kamala Harris lost, they said the same things. They blamed the voters. Oh, it was Latino men and how sexist they are. And it was black men, and it was the progressives. Right? They always blame the voters, right?
Yes.
But And now
They blame portions of their voting base, and they blame the ones that voted against them. Okay, therefore, to nurture the ones who still voted for them and keep them within the fold. Cenk, you know how this works. The thing is that you just couldn't get any more than 5% of people to vote for you.
the veil has been lifted, and the American people can see. The Democratic establishment is full of crap. They don't know anything. I'll go way further. This is like stuff you can't say on television. Okay.
We're on YouTube, so go ahead.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's different things you can't say.
Right. Democratic leadership are morons.
Yeah.
That's why they lost.
Yeah.
So they can't adjust to the times. They can't see that we're in a populist mood in America. And they're like, oh, we've got a great strategy from the 1990s. And remember, Jen O'Malley Dillon and that entire campaign team were the people who knew that Biden had dementia because they dealt with him every day. And they covered it up. They're all giant liars, right?
They knew this back in 2019, so that's nothing new. Honestly, Donald Trump has been the monkey wrench thrown into the establishment machine. He always has been. So you can't gauge normal political behavior off of this man. He's just a little bit, as I said, that little element of chaos thrown into the order that the machine ran on.
So those liars who were telling you, oh, Biden's fine. His uncle might have been eaten by cannibals. You don't know, right? Okay, I mean, look at the preposterous degree of their lies. And then those incompetent losers take Kamala Harris's campaign and they sink it. They're like, oh, we got this. We'll just spend $1 billion, but we won't do any interviews. And by the way, so stop blaming the voters. You know who's terrible? The DNC's terrible. You know who's terrible? The Biden campaign team that turned into the Kamala campaign team. And yes, Kamala Harris, she was an awful candidate. Talking about bringing her back, how much do you want to lose? I see, as Robbie, you pointed out accurately in the beginning, I don't want to lose to the Republicans. I don't want to lose to Trump. And they just keep losing and losing and losing. And they're like, oh, Cenk, you're the bad guy for pointing out the fact that we're a bunch of losers. Well, the whole country knows. It's not like you're the president. You blew. If Trump is this terrible and this dumb and this all these things, then why'd you lose to him so many times?
Right.
You lost to him because he's not all those things. That's one. Two, the other reason why you lost is that basically the mask had been ripped off at that point in time. Now, Cenk can sit here and rip the establishment left all he wants to in this little fiery diatribe of his. But the thing goes is that the establishment left, the establishment Democrat, supported the far left, those that he supports, in the destruction of American cities and all the protests before the 2020 election. This is what happened. Okay, people saw how the Democrats work right now. They saw how the left works. And you still have these people who just, for some odd reason, just don't see it. But that's why folks like me are here. All right, so hit me up in those comments and let me know, when was it that the mask was ripped off for you? When did you figure out that both parties really are just one party? All right, when was it? Let me know.
Right, what does that make you?
Why did he gain with the voters that have been loyal Democrats for cycles? He's clearly doing something right. On some level, you just have to observe that he has done something correct, even if you don't like it, and come up with some effective strategy to counter it. And they're still, and we'll move on to a different topic in a minute, but they're still, obviously this week the big news is that Joe Biden, served up Democrats a turd sandwich, forced them to reckon with him breaking this promise not to pardon his son. And you've seen a lot of Democrats, some Democrats, I don't know about a lot, saying this was a bad move and I'm against him doing this. But why have I not seen the names, the people who are being floated as potential 2028 candidates, like Gretchen Whitmer, Josh Shapiro, Gavin Newsom? They haven't said anything about it. And I think that's a starting point. Just say, I understand he's a father and it's his son. This was not a good idea for him to break his campaign promise, and I'm against that. Just say it and move on.
So I know why they're not saying it, because they're corporate talking robots. And they have not yet received their script. They're waiting for a script, loading, because what...
The problem is that the entire Democrat Party runs itself in that respect, okay? Cenk is now trying to separate the establishment Democrats, from the far left Democrats. And you can't do it because they both went in lockstep. Okay, even AOC and her cadre of harridans went in lockstep with the rest of the Democrats. That's just how the Democrats work.
Because here's what's going to happen, Robbie. At some point, Democratic leadership is going to want to anoint someone for 2028, right? So when they go to do that, these guys, if they're on the wrong side of it, anything they say against Biden will be used against them later. I know because they've done this to me dozens of times. Oh, you said this about Obama. Aren't you a terrible Democrat for saying that? But hey, brother, I was criticizing Obama from the left. I said, hey, maybe we shouldn't do drilling in the Gulf. And then the drilling in the Gulf blew up 3 weeks later. You criticize Obama. You're a right-winger.
On the Republican side, you can have caused Hitler. You could have said Trump was Hitler.
The whole thing is that Cenk has done the exact same thing himself. Okay, he's done this to Jimmy Dore, for crying out loud. Okay, he has accused Jimmy Dore, all right, of being on the right and supporting Trump. Okay, it's amazing what comes out of this man's mouth. Ugh.
And be his vice president. It's just like all gets forgotten. It gets forgiven once you get on board the policy agenda.
So, real quick, Robbie, on that, that's exactly right. And they kept pushing people out of the party, okay? You're outside the guardrails. You won't do what the professionals on TV say, which is make sure that you're helping corporate donors, okay? You're a no good populist. All right, well, then you pushed everybody out of the party, and you lost the popular vote, okay?
That's what
so
happens.
when they lie to you in 2028, do not believe their lies. Do not believe the man behind the green curtain.
All right, there you are, everybody. This was Cenk Uygur having his own little political cow. I said I would go into this, and this is exactly what's going on. Cenk is pivoting. Okay, Cenk did this back in the 2000s when it became vogue to crap on Bush after he won the 2000 election. Again, before all this, Cenk was actually a Republican. And then he just ran with it because he read the room. He saw where he could make his money. At one point in time, he was offered $1 million. He did turn that down. But if you take a look at what was going on with the Young Turks at that point in time and how it was exploding, taking $1 million would have been stupidity. Okay? I mean, it would have been absolutely nuts. But when it came to the $20 million from Jeffrey Katzenberg, he was right there to take every ounce of that money. So Cenk is doing absolutely nothing but pivoting right now. He's read the room. He saw how so many companies, Disney, everything like that, Toyota, how they're dropping their DEI offices, how a lot of this stuff is being separated. Oh, God, even Captain America 4, for crying out loud, is being reshot. Okay, because Trump is in office now. It is just absolutely crazy, the pivot that a lot of companies and corporations are doing right now because of the election of Trump. They've seen it. They've seen that right now a majority of America is absolutely and utterly sick of this, okay? And Cenk's not stupid, okay? Cenk is a carnival barker. That's exactly what he is. And he has found an area to go to that he knows that he can keep a good portion of the people that watch him and click onto his videos and still run in the circles that he wants to run in. As I said before, the man's a snake. And he is absolute garbage. So, anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. It has been funny to watch Cenk basically rip into the Democrats when not only a few years ago what happened, he was actually there supporting them. So, thank you all very much. This has been Cenk Uygur, Rips the Establishment Left, in this fiery interview. Thank you all very much for joining me. Later.